In this video, we're looking at the conjugate and how to apply it in a question. So here we have a complex number is equal to a plus bi. So notice the notation, it's just a z. When we add a line on top of the z, like this, it now becomes the conjugate. The conjugate is a minus bi. Notice the original complex number was a plus bi. So the only thing that changes here is the second part that's attached to the I. The real number part remains the same. And the notation for the conjugate is a line on top of the letter Z. So the sign change is on the imaginary. That becomes the symbol for the conjugate. If Z is equal to a plus bi, calculate z dot z conjugate. So it's saying multiply what you see on the left times what you see on the right. That's practically what that question is saying. So that's on the left and this is on the right. So multiplying all that out, we will use the FOIL method. So a times a is a squared. A times minus bi is minus abi, and bi times a will be plus abi. Notice those two will cancel out, and in the last one on the right we'll have minus b squared I squared, right, or bi all squared. So notice that the center will fall out and we'll have b squared I squared if we apply the exponent rule. Wherever we see I squared, we'll apply a negative 1. So if we apply negative 1, we will get a positive b squared. So our answer will be a squared plus b squared. So here we are given these numbers on the left. They are saying write the conjugate. So that will mean change the sign of what's attached to the imaginary number. So those are what's given on the left, and these are the conjugates on the right. So minus 7i will be plus 7i. In the next one, the minus 3 will remain the same. The only thing that will change will be the plus 3i. It will become minus 3i. In the left hand side, like grade H, you have to split it up into two parts. We will get 5 over 8, and we'll also get minus 3i over 8, or 3 over 8i. Remember, if there's an I that follows a fraction, that I is in the numerator. If you would like to write the I in the denominator, which you cannot, the only time you would be able to write it in the denominator, the I, if it was 1 over I. Right, so here we have 3i minus root minus 25. So the first step is to break that up into square root of minus 1, square root of 25. So there we have it with the negative sign in front. Notice that that is plus 3i, so we can write it at the back. So this will give us in the front, square root of 25 is 5. So this root minus 1 becomes I, plus the 3i. Simplify this, we'll now get minus 2i. So minus 2i, what is the conjugate of that? Plus 2i. The real number is 0. So remember that the method is to change the sign to the opposite sign of only the I. Right, division of complex numbers. So remember these examples are like grade 8, where you had to split the fraction into two pieces. So the first step would be to split it. And once you split it, they're both over 5, obviously. So the first part is the real number, and the second part is the imaginary number. So we have minus 3 over 5i, 5 over 5 is 1, 1 times I is I. That is our final answer. In the next example, notice we'd have to multiply by the conjugate. So in the denominator we have a minus 2i. So we have to multiply minus 2i by a positive 2i, and whatever the denominator is, we have to multiply the numerator by the same. So this would not change the value of the original question, because anything over itself is effectively 1. So all of this times 1, we haven't changed the value of the original question. So the method here, don't forget, if you see a negative 2i in the denominator, this means you must multiply by the conjugate, which is a plus 2i. And whatever you do in this one's denominator, the same thing you'll do in its numerator. So here it's going to be like distributive property, where this times this times this, right? So the method here is to multiply by the conjugate. So in the denominator, multiplying them out, we're going to have minus 2i times a positive 2i. It's going to give me a negative 4i squared. I times I is I squared. Wherever we see I squared, it's going to turn into a negative 1 in the future. So on the top, it'll be distributive property. So minus 2 times 2i will give me minus 4i. And minus 3i times 2i will give me minus 6i squared. Okay, wherever you see I squared, rather place minus 1. Okay, and we'll have minus 4i plus 6 in the numerator. In the denominator, we'll have positive 4. So now we can split it. Okay, if we split it, we're going to get I, negative I for the first part, and the second part we're going to get 6 over 4, which is the same as 3 over 2. Now we have to write it in the proper notation, where the real number is first and the I is after. So it'll be 3 over 2 minus I. Next is exercise 1.5.